let's get to some Texas Tech discussion. They have less range than Tom Hanks, but you know what? I will say that they have reinvented themselves, like Tom Hanks likes to do, because now they're running the football more than ever. I cannot recall a Texas Tech team. Maybe when Tommy Tuberville was there. You remember when Tommy Tuberville took over for a while at Tech?
Senator Tommy
Yeah,
Tuberville.
yeah. Oh, yes.
What a country.
Yeah, the same guy that broke up with Texas Tech at a recruiting dinner.
He didn't break up. The Irish goodbye'd him.
Yeah, he did. It was a breakup. He didn't tell them about it. They found out about it on TV. But anyway, that was probably the last time they ran the ball this much, guys. They've ran it at least 40 times in four of the last 6 games. They're running the football a lot, and they're not necessarily that effective, but Taj Brooks is the real deal. Taj Brooks averaging 5.4 yards per rush. He'll be in the conversation to be, I'm sure, not only the Doak Walker Award semifinalist, he might be a finalist.
For which one?
Taj Brooks.
Yes, yeah.
And he may end up, because of Jonathan Brooks' injury, on first team All Big 12 along with him and Ollie Gordon. It'll be a 3-horse race for the first team All Big 12 running back.
Yeah, I agree.
Ollie Gordon, could be Jay Brooks, could be Taj Brooks.
Yeah, all 3. Well, those are your top 3 leading rushers in the Big 12 right
They're
now.
really good. And they all, I think, have their own statistical kind of separators for them. But they want to run the football, and he's their best player. They want to funnel usage to him via the running game. But as we know, that Texas, that's their defensive strength. I mean, they're one of the best rush defenses in the history of Texas football. You're talking about the 4th best rush defense in the Big 12 in the last 15 years. Since 2009, they held K-State a top 5 rushing attack with dual threat quarterbacks to their lowest rushing output in 10 years since 2014. They held Iowa State to 9 yards rushing. I just think handing off the football in a traditional running game against Texas is a fool's errand, but that is Texas Tech's new identity, and I think it's something they're doing out of necessity. I don't necessarily think they want to be this, but I always say life and football are constant struggles deciding between what you want to be and what you need to be in order to survive, and I think this is what they need to be in order to survive and win some games. Because the other route, because the injuries to their quarterbacks and with pass protection issues, it just wasn't winning games for them. They were scoring points, but they weren't winning games. Now they're scoring fewer points, but they're winning games. And Texas Tech's defense isn't bad. Now they're bad in certain areas, right? Third down defense, they're 107th. Sacks, they're like 100th, so they don't get to the quarterback very well. But scoring defense at 54th, and they're trying to play a more complementary brand of football. That's what them running the football, I think, is all about. And Sark says he likes some things about the defense. They do some interesting things. I think what he's referring to is the amount that they run simulated pressures, what we call sim pressure. This is something that worries me a little bit in this matchup because Texas had issues with sim pressure. You guys remember me talking about simulated pressure. That's when you make something look like a blitz, smell like a blitz, feel like a blitz, except it's not a blitz. It's going to be a 3 or 4 man pressure, but you make it feel and look like a blitz. Therefore, you can confuse the blocking schemes of the offensive line. They're expecting blitz. It's not blitz. And then you confuse their blocking schemes, and then you can get free rushers or potentially be able to apply more pressure that way. Now, and you still win the numbers advantage in the back end in the passing game, all right, with pass defense, but you end up, obviously making it look like you're going to blitz, and you force the offense to check to their hot read or their blitz protection or their blitz pass, and if they check an audible to whatever their hot read is going to be via the blitz, you can take away the first read, and that's how you make the quarterback hold on to the ball longer, and that is one of the benefits of running simulated pressure. They run simulated pressure at a top 10 rate among Power 5 teams. All right, that's a lot of simulated pressure. And they also, with the sim pressure, they'll run twists and stunts, not as much as they probably should, but those are the issues that gave Texas problems in the Rice game. Remember that early on in the season, Texas had issues with that. And if you combine that with amoeba fronts with matter of fact, Iowa State did some of this early on in the first half, where everybody's lined up at the line of scrimmage, 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, all on the line, 2-point stance, 3-point stance, and you're going to send 3 or 4 and drop the rest of the guys. Offensive line has no idea where the pressure's coming from and who's dropping and who's coming, and that's how you confuse the blocking schemes. Texas had a lot of issues with that late in the season last year versus Baylor. Baylor had more sacks than any other team against Texas in 2022 because of that. Combining those concepts, they had issues with Rice because Rice combined a lot of those concepts in pass protection. That to me would be something that could confuse the O-line, and that could become a problem for Texas in this matchup. I don't foresee it being a big issue, but it could, especially if you're not ahead of the chains. Now, if you're ahead of the chains and you're not in predictable passing situations, they won't have really an opportunity to deploy, all right, these combined concepts. But if you're in predictable passing situations, then they have a shot to do it. Just like Iowa State was able to do it early on in the first half against Texas. They got 4 sacks, and they were using some simulated pressure. They were using some amoeba fronts. So that would be the concern if you're looking at the matchup of the Texas offense versus the Tech defense. But other than that, Texas has the advantage in almost every way. And I think they had the advantage there too. It's just that is, if you were looking at something to be concerned about, considering what happened last week with the pass protection issues in the first half. Because think about it, Iowa State was 113th in pass rushing grade. They were not good at rushing the passer. That was not a strength of theirs. Yet they got 4 sacks in the first half versus Texas. Same thing with Tech. That is not a strength of their defense in terms of rushing the passer, but they can present some problems that Texas has struggled with in the past in pass protection.
Yeah, and against Iowa State with some confusing coverages, I think, and but that's why I give Sark and the staff, they made some adjustments. They also, on those 4 sacks, they got JT Sanders locked up on a defensive end a couple of times, which, that didn't go well for JT in pass pro. But either way, they sorted out, and those 4 sacks came early, and then when Quinn got hot late, once they started dumping it down, and as you documented it, behind the burnt orange curtain, those dialed up plays, those Sarks using their tendencies against them, helped create some explosive plays, and the Longhorns went on to score 26 points, and gosh, had two touchdowns called back, and could have had a lot more. But that's where the Longhorns are, and Texas Tech, so they're 6-5. They're going to be bowl eligible for Joey McGuire, and I think he's done a real nice job.
Getting better,
but I think even Joey McGuire would look at that and say, yeah, they're really better than us at every position. And they're at home. We're going to have to play a hell of a game.
And they got to roll the dice, right? They got to gamble a little bit. They got to break tendency. And that's why I don't think they're going to come in and run the ball 40 times. They got Baron Morton back. He's playing much better in November, completing over 71% of his passes in the month of November.
The Bear Raid.
Exactly. 7.5 yards per attempt. They're throwing it a little bit more now in November, too. 31 attempts. I think in this game, it's clear that Texas has not issues, but they're susceptible and vulnerable via the pass defense, but not with their run defense. So I think they're going to come in here and throw to open up the run. And I think they're going to try to throw at Texas inside breaking routes, slants like Iowa State ran, right? Iowa State ran, I think, like close to 10 slants, completed a really high percentage of them. They're going to run a lot of slants. They're going to run a lot of bunch formation. And I think they're going to come out and throw against Texas. And they have wide receivers that are athletic and twitchy. And that's been a problem for Texas against teams like U of H, like Oklahoma, like TCU, because Miles Price, Jaron Bradley, they don't really have a number one wide receiver. Like Miles Price is the leading wide receiver, but I don't think he's an elite wide receiver by any stretch. But they got Miles Price, Jaron Bradley, Cody Eakin, Jordan Brown, Dre McCrae, Xavier White. All these guys have at least 24 receptions. Miles Price the most with 43. They got a nice little competent, capable group of receivers that could give Texas problems on the outside if they go pass first.